Welcome to the EST Hangout.
This is the EST Hangout, and today's guests are...
For this. Good. Well, there we go. A good Wednesday morning to you. Welcome to the EST Hangout presented by Sentinel Storage live right here on your clear choice for Edmonton Sports. That's Edmonton Sports. Game day. Game 2 today, Oilers and Kings. On the show today, Matt Iwanyk, Tom Gazzola,
Hello.
as well as Shawn Belle is with you here on this lovely Wednesday. As I said, presented by Sentinel Storage, Canada Storage experts, more than 2 decades helping Canadians through life transitions. Canadian storage provider, sentinel.ca. Bellsy, how you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. I'm doing better than Shannon Sharp.
Thank you for sharing everything that's going on in that scenario with us prior to this show, because we were laughing. We were laughing.
I feel like I'm your connect for this stuff.
You are my connect. All the Bieber stuff, the P. Diddy stuff, the Shannon Sharp. Like, you're always aware of what's happening.
Need to know.
Yeah, I guess so.
This is like my White Lotus.
There's certainly premises in real life that are more crazy than what happens on White Lotus, 100%. Which is crazy.
We should do a weekly review of what's going on down in the States.
Yep. Just of like the find the weirdest. Like,
can we share the text messages too?
No, I don't think you should share the text messages right now on Shannon Sharp.
We cannot do that.
I think you could gladly tell people to where you found them if they want to go read on it.
I won't even talk about it anymore.
You don't want to get into that?
No, because it's so outrageous. The whole thing's crazy.
It really is.
The whole thing.
This is one I actually haven't dove into, and I really don't want to fully. I usually am in all these things.
You might want to.
I'm usually in on all these things, but I feel like on this one, I'm good. I'm good to just sit on the sidelines. Bells, you jump in. You do. You go do it.
I'll get the information. I'll relay it to you guys.
Well, you don't even have to relay it to me. I'm not going to lie.
No,
that one, I think, based on what I heard earlier, I think I'm good.
Yeah.
I think this probably. One I'm good. I am good. Shannon Sharp, famed for getting $50,000 to come to an Eskimos game at the time to do the coin toss.
Yeah, that's fair. Didn't he just get $100 million?
What? Like that's
for
his new
like
contract?
For a deal with his new podcast or with some of his podcasts? $100 million.
$100 million.
He has a podcast.
Him and
it's
Ocho
called
Cinco,
Nightcap.
Right? Is it him?
He's got
and Ocho
Nightcap
Cinco?
and then he's got Club Shay Shay.
Okay. I mean, we see the clips from the one with Ocho Cinco.
Yeah, he's nearing a historic $100 million deal for Club Shay Shay. Crazy.
Well, Club Shay Shay is the
guy with Club Shay Shay's in trouble for something crazy.
Oh,
well,
how about that?
On Club Shay Shay, they did have Cat Williams, and Cat Williams did spill all the beans. And then I think it was like a month later, all the Diddy stuff came out. And
we're into Diddy.
Oh, right. You showed me
that all started off Club Shay Shay.
That's where it happened.
It is.
Yeah. He showed that to me when it happened.
People have been saying stuff about Diddy for years.
Well, I think it really just, there's that door, and then Cat Williams was on Club Shay Shay, and he like kicked that thing as hard as he can and exploded the door in, and then all the secrets just came out right after that.
Gross.
How do I word this?
I don't know.
To not get Bellsy in trouble like Tommy did last week.
I didn't get him into trouble.
Our Diddy trial expert, Shawn Belle.
That's better.
Yeah.
I didn't get you into trouble.
Well, I mean, the way that you described it was just
it wasn't it was you put him in a really weird spot there. Like,
I don't think
you're
so.
into Diddy or whatever it was.
Oh, yeah.
You're into Diddy stuff.
Whoa.
That's what he
Yes.
said.
You're into
like,
Diddy
whoa.
stuff.
I didn't want to be like, there's our Diddy expert.
I was like, oh my God.
Diddy trial expert.
Yeah.
Shawn
Yeah,
Belle.
okay, that's-
Our Diddy trial correspondent, Shawn Belle. We'll have to fly you down there to his trial so you could cover it.
I don't know if I want to be that close to the nonsense.
No?
No. It's like flying too close to the sun.
Yeah, but then you also get more American stories because there's nothing like being around the media circles that is circus, that is a crazy media trial as well.
I don't think I could keep up with the nonsense down there. Like, Dusty was talking about it. He's like, between Stephen A. Smith and all the crap that he's going through, all the stuff that's going on with Shannon Sharp, obviously that craziness, the Diddy stuff, like there's too much nonsense down there.
Did you see what Kanye happened with Kanye this
The
week?
Kanye nonsense? Like, why
What happened?
are
Oh
you
my
putting
God.
that out there? Even if that happened, you don't throw that out there so casually
He's giggling.
because he knows how crazy it
Because
is.
Monday I woke up and like it was late. I missed it for half the day. And then I saw the stories. It was like Pope passed away today. There was something else that happened on the Monday. And then this also happened on there was a lot that came at the world on Monday. This one was just like,
Holy crap.
and I'm surprised it took like half a day for me to find that one.
Man, I just don't like how he said it so casually. That's not a casual subject. It's not a casual situation.
What's funny is that years ago he got mad at South Park because they did a whole show, like an episode around him liking fish sticks, and he didn't. And then this happens many years later.
Tommy's obviously seeing it.
What the hell is going on here? Oh, and then there's like drag queens saying they had relationships with him, and holy smokes.
That's not the stuff Tommy's laughing about.
No, that's
I'll tell
not
you
the,
that
but,
part right
but
now.
like there's
Yeah.
fallout, and I'm
Yeah.
like, okay.
Yeah, yeah. That came out.
I'm 2 days late to the party.
We
but
broke
I-
Tommy. He's got tears in his eyes right now. We broke Tommy.
Holy smokes. What the hell?
It's a weird day today.
I was scrolling and there was one tweet that said, today we found out that Kanye West did this and Katy Perry's an astronaut. What kind of world do we live in?
Oh, imagine if you woke up from a coma. Those are the
my
stories
God.
you're
What is
seeing.
going on?
Put me
Where
back
am
in.
I? Yeah.
Put me back under.
I'm not
I
ready
need
for
to go.
this.
I need to go back to Shutter Island.
Holy smokes.
Oh my god!
For those that are
Jeez.
interested in the Kanye story, you're gonna have to tread lightly. That's on you. You deal with it, but you'd have to Google it yourself. We're not going fully into
Oh,
it.
boy.
Tony B, what does this have to do with sports?
Nothing. Well, the
Nothing.
Shannon Sharp thing started it.
Yeah. Shannon Sharp's an athlete.
He's an athlete,
And he's on a
analyst,
sports program.
Very
Oh, my
successful.
God.
But this conversation has nothing to do with sports.
No, this
Welcome
part
to the
doesn't.
EST Hangout.
Well, whatever.
Just go along for
he's
the
out of
ride,
breath.
buddy.
Holy smokes, man.
Just be along for the ride.
boy.
We've got lots to discuss. Don't worry, Tony. We'll get
We'll
to
get
those
there.
Edmonton
Yeah,
Oilers.
yeah. Patience
3-hour
is a
morning show
virtue.
today. We got the oil stream. We got EST afternoons. We got the Reed Wilkins show, an extended Reed Wilkins show.
Yeah.
We got the oil stream, GCL Diesel oil stream pregame show.
An extended GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show.
We've got you covered until 8 o'clock, so we'll get there. We'll get there. Don't you worry. It's just we started in that conversation. I guess it had to be said.
Well, it started off air.
Yeah, you like bringing these things in.
He keeps tabs on things.
I mean, it was hard not to.
Again, I missed the Kanye thing for like half a day.
I didn't
Tommy
even know
missed it
about-
for 2 days.
I had no idea.
But now Tommy's dying.
Oh my God. It explains so much.
It
Your
does,
world will
doesn't
never
it?
be the same.
I guess not. That's okay. I'll be all right.
We better get to sports, guys.
Let's get to sports.
Well, we could get to sports. The LA Lakers, they defeat the Minnesota Timberwolves yesterday.
Yes.
1-1.
That's what we want. Blue
How
Jays,
many-
12 and
How
12.
many people from around the Oilers circle, so media following the Oilers, players, coaches, staff, do you think would have went to a Lakers game? You think any player would have gone, or is playoffs? You're dialed in. There's no
They
going
should.
anywhere.
They
not.
Yeah, they probably shouldn't do that.
You know? I was just like, because there is, because I'm assuming they stay right, like
Yeah,
is it
LA
right
Live.
there?
Well, we used to, yeah.
Like I'm just wondering if like, oh, I'll go spend a couple of hours just to
Although-
unwind or something. I was just curious. That
I
just
gotta-
came around my mind last night. It's
I would
like
have a
would the
bigger
Oilers go
feeling
there?
they'd be sitting by the pool,
Yeah.
or they'd go out to the beach.
Okay.
Yeah. We did used to stay. There were times you might have been on the team at that point where in Santa Monica we would go.
No,
And then there was also Marina Del Rey. If they wanted to get away from LA Live, they would. That's where we would go. Santa Monica was awesome. It was great. But yeah, otherwise you're at LA Live.
They're just locked in though for the most part. Like,
Well, they should be.
And those would be tough
But-
tickets.
but
to
it's-
get.
Yeah, they'd be
Although
very,
they'd probably
very hard
be able to
get.
get
Yeah.
it.
but is that not like just a little decompressing? Like, you don't have to go crazy going to a basketball game.
You're right. But it's also just the getting to that game, going to watch it. Like, it's just extra.
Okay.
I don't know. Like,
Yeah,
to
I know
me,
what you mean.
I could, I could watch it in the game. I want to, make sure I get a little bit of a sweat to kind of get my body into it. But at the same time, I want to spend as much time resting as I possibly can.
Yeah.
So, guys are going to go out for dinner. They're going to do their thing. And then they're going to come back to the hotel and call it a day. So I don't know if they would in the playoffs. Regular season for sure.
Yeah.
But
It was funny. They were back to back. It was like a stretch of days at what was Staples Center, crypto.com now, where it was like Clippers, Lakers, Oilers, game, right? Or Kings, I guess. And we went to the Clippers game and they comped us some tickets through the media guy, which was great. Great seats. We looked at the ticket price, $35. Lower bowl, like row 12 or something like that, kind of in the corner, so at an angle a bit. Great tickets, like especially for free 99. And then we're like, what about the Lakers game tomorrow? And we looked, those same tickets, $350. And then sure enough, 2 days later, we had our Oilers Kings game that we had to cover. So it's crazy the difference between the Clippers and the Lakers. Now they're not in the same building anymore, but yeah, it would be a bit tougher to get.
how do you feel about those Lakes right now?
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Just want to make sure.
Minnesota's a good team. Ant-Man's something to be worried about. Game one was very upset. But they got the win.
I was going to check in on you after that game one, but I was like, I'm not going to. Because you haven't even replied to my dubbed video of Lakers in 5 remix by Shannon Sharp, which was a great song.
I told you a couple of weeks ago when you said you were going to come at me if the Golden State Warriors are going to beat the Lakers, that I'm on Twitter and I wouldn't respond. I don't do stuff on Twitter much anymore.
Yeah, you have to be in a certain mood, hey?
Yeah, and even then, I'm still like,
If it's
that
like
mood's not
Tim
around
Peel,
anymore.
then you'll wind yourself up and get at him.
I think I'm good with Tim now.
You sure?
I think.
I hope
think
you're not.
Have you
'cause
guys
I
had a
actually quite
conversation?
enjoy it.
It comes down to, I don't think I need to go dunk on Tim anymore. I'm
He
good
did.
with attacking him. Like, I'm good. Like, I'm done.
Oh, okay.
I don't need
Oh,
to
yeah.
jump in that water.
Never, right?
Tim's an idiot. I'm confident of that. And I don't need to tell him that to his face, well, via virtual face anymore.
Elsie, did you ever tell
unless
Tim
he
Peel he was
comes
an
at
idiot
it.
on the ice?
Nope.
Oh, okay, that's too bad.
If
I was
he,
just schmelt, so I didn't say anything to anybody.
if he comes after people I know, like how this all started, it started a while ago when he went after Yaremchuk. So then I was like, well, okay, I'll wait. And then through that, I went after him a few more times. If he comes after someone I know again, yeah, sure, I'll gladly
Then
come out of
you're
retirement if
chiming
you
right
step.
in, hey?
Well, lights go off and I'll come down. But beyond that, he's not worth my time as much anymore.
That's fair.
I like how you beef
good.
with Tim Peel.
I love it too.
I
Like,
read the
it's
whole
so
thing.
random.
He was an idiot.
One of those days.
He didn't
It's
even know what he was
so
doing.
random.
He was trying to, and he thought he'd like dunk on me and stuff, and he was just.
How did you ever, like, outside of the Yaremchuk thing, how did you ever really get involved? Or was it just purely because of your Yaremchuk?
Tim Peel was the very first. That was the first time I ever went after Tim Peel. First time I ever tweeted at Tim Peel. First thing anything I did at Tim Peel. So that's where it
It
started.
made it count, that's for sure.
Yeah, I was just like, this is easy, and it was just easy. Like he was. It was child's play dealing with Tim Peel at that point. I'll say that. But yeah, no. So I said something to him on the phone. So like, and Lakers in 5 is still going. They go take 2
Could
in
be.
Minnesota. They
Yeah.
go take the 1 in LA. It's over. We're
Could
off to
be.
the next
Yeah.
round. We're meeting the Houston Rockets. No, yesterday I'll say this, nervous going into game 2.
Yep.
But they got the win, so now I'm comfortable again and confident again. The Lakers, like the Oilers, have had some issues with game 1s in the past with LeBron and stuff.
Yeah. What was the stat for the Oilers? It was 9 of 11.
3 wins, 11 losses in game 1s in the McDavid era now.
Yep.
I believe that is.
That's wild.
Hey, ease their way into
Which
the
is
series.
also why I feel like going back, like I didn't care about the Oilers
Just
needing home ice.
Dipping
Because
that
if they're going
toe
to
in,
lose
hey?
game 1 anyways, well, might as well do it on the road as opposed to doing it at home and wasting a home game.
it's just so, it's not good.
The way they did lose it was
Let's get into Hangout headlines. Brought to you by the Ranch Golf and Country Club. From premier golf facilities to the corporate branded products, the Ranch is your all-in-one tournament host, proud host to over 180 tournaments each year, including the EST Golf Classic. Here to help you execute all your tournament ideas. Book your tournament today. Visit theranchgolf.com. Okay, why do the Oilers do so bad in game ones?
You point at me like I know.
Well, I had a whole hour and a half post-game show.
And then yesterday, he had his run low.
Oh, this has been like notorious for the entire McDavid era. They notoriously start slow, and it's not until they're like, "Hey, guys, like you might want to get mad," that they decide to do something about it. And like, I don't understand it. Like, clearly, there's a competitiveness to these guys. There is. But at the same time, like, why do you got to get kicked before you're like, all right, I've had enough of this? Or we're getting embarrassed. Okay, I've had enough of this. Now we're going to wake up. To me, it's you just show up, take care of business, move on, see you later, and everybody's happy.
Can I go something outlandish maybe here?
Please.
And feel free to be like, Matt, you're an idiot. They use game one as like a scouting report game.
Mm-hmm.
They go just feel it out, and then they figure out what they have to do for the rest of the series.
Maybe
but
unintentionally.
But don't you think that should be the case of like you've got, well, they started Monday. So you would have had Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday to figure out what do the Kings do. And it's not like they snuck up on you to figure that out. They defend hard, they play hard, they clog up the middle of the ice, they got good goaltending, and they're going to make you earn it.
But maybe they're a team that needs to like try it out. As opposed to like instead of book learning, they need to do the lessons.
Practical.
They need to actually.
How many times a year do they play against the Kings?
But this is playoffs, so
Yeah,
I'm just wondering: is there anything that could be said to that, or am I just making something up out of my ass?
You're being so nice to them right now,
okay?
Because they just played against that same team 3 years in a row in the playoffs, and they play them all year. This is not a series that sneaks up on you. This is not like if you asked a casual fan in Edmonton, what do the Kings do? I bet you they nail it.
Except they'd say 1-3-1. It's not a 1-3-1.
Well, it's a 1-2-2 now.
Thank you.
1-2-2. It was a 5-man back. Is what I saw. So regardless of whatever the 1-2-2, you just switch one player into a different position, and voila, you have your 1-3-1. But they're still sitting back. They're still clogging the neutral zone. They're still a very good defensive team, and they still work extremely hard to try to score. So nothing has changed. They're just better than they were last year.
I'll further that. Wyshynski had a good point with Dusty and Eric. He said that in that game, even though the Oilers didn't get the result, it was kind of a half win for them. That's the term Greg used. But I agree, because the way he looked at it, he's like, the Oilers ultimately found out that, oh yeah, this is just the same Kings team that we faced the last 3 years in the playoffs. And that's kind of what we were saying leading up to the series. But you got to go out there, execute. You got to take advantage of your opportunities. You got to minimize your mistakes. You can't be passing pucks right into the slot. You got to pick up your man in front. Evan. Anyway.
You got a back check?
You got a back check. Yeah, exactly. Maybe don't leave your guys out there for 4 of the last 5 minutes. I don't know, whatever. But ultimately, I do agree with the point Greg made is this is still the same Kings team. Yes, Kemper is a different goalie. Yes, he had an outstanding season. Yes, they had a tremendous regular season record at home. But I think the Oilers in that third period especially found out that you're in very familiar territory with the LA Kings in this first round.
Will the LA Kings, though, change this? Like, will they not try to play more open, maybe a little more offensive? Because
they can't. They don't have the same. They don't have the horses.
But they got to a nice lead,
yeah,
without having so many guys back, and they gave up the game by playing everyone back at a certain point.
Yeah,
that they welcomed the Edmonton Oilers to come into the zone and thought, okay, well, we'll shut you down defensively. Well, that was a mistake. That this moving forward, they'll sit there and be like, okay, well, we can't do that fully. We need to actually keep pushing offensively. Because look at the Oilers' blue line. Look at the Oilers' goaltending. We will score goals. We just need to keep attacking. We can't play defensive.
You're right, but you can't open it up too much, because if you open it up too much, that's what the Oilers want. You want to try to play a run and gun style, like up and down the ice, kind of favors the Oilers because they have guys that want to play that way. The Kings, when they play and they're successful, they're locked down, they're tight, they grind, and they're very detailed in what they do. That's how they score goals. They get to the net. They don't take high risk chances. Everything is very simple and it's very, very detailed, and that's how they're successful. So if you want to open it up and say, okay, well, let's play a little bit of pond hockey here, so to speak. Well, okay,
But there's a middle ground, I feel like.
For them, there's not for the Kings.
But why did they have success through 40 minutes? And then when they played, like, because they changed a bit in the third. They played more defensive, I would say, than they were in the first 40.
For sure.
And that's what caught them.
Yep, they're more defensive for sure.
They just got to play
back.
like that first 40. And are they not feeling like, hey, even if we just got to keep doing that? We've got the Oilers because they don't have anything unless we play defensively.
But there's a difference between what they did in the first 40. The first 40, they forechecked hard. They were physical, right? They still were getting guys back. There's still guys above. They still played a style that clogged up the middle of the ice. So from that respect, like, yeah, maybe they didn't forecheck as hard, but everything else was still the exact same, right? So, put more pressure on the Oilers defense because that's where they're going to cough up pucks. But if you want to open this thing up is kind of where I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. You can't open it up. You can't change who you are to try to, compete against the Oilers because of whatever their defense looks like. You got to play the same style, but just keep that pressure on the Oilers defense because that's where you're going to win this series if you're the Kings. Keep going after Bouchard, get on the forecheck, be physical against him because you saw – those 2 turnovers, like, those were wild. Because the first one, all you have to do is take the puck and skate it around the net. That's it. But you reverse this thing to Darnell Nurse, who had a guy right on top of him.
Launch a grenade at him.
And you're like, hey, you deal with this. And it's like Darnell gets the puck and it's like, well, what am I supposed to do with this? Like, I'm under pressure right away. So that puck kicks to the middle, and then all of a sudden it's in the back of your net. And you're like, oh, okay, well, that's a good one. And then it wasn't too long later, you throw a no-look backhand to the middle. I think he was expecting Connor to be there, but Connor was going to help you because you were under pressure. And then you throw this pass, and it's right to the slot. Here's a hot and ready, and it's in the back of your net, and you do this one, and I'm like, you can't do this one. That was you. Who are you blaming that on?
Excellent hot and ready reference too, by the way.
Like,
those are delicious.
Yeah.
Ice down.
Or you can call it a deep dish DiGiorno if you'd like to.
Oh, there were some great
longer.
terms for it on the post game.
That was the biggest pizza delivery I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
And then I just don't like the hands in the air.
I didn't see that.
There was a little hands in the air.
Who's he doing that to then?
I don't know.
Oh.
His imaginary friend that wasn't there for him.
By the way, I just want to throw this out there. Oilers skate noon today, our time. So during the oil stream, they'll be on the ice, which will mean they'll speak with the media following. Based on the media veil yesterday, John Klingberg chance to draw in tonight for the Edmonton Oilers as well.
Listen, there is an easy upgrade. Anybody is an easy upgrade over Josh Brown. I'm sorry. And I went off a little bit at the start of the post-game show the other night because of how ridiculous that circumstance was that they played him. A guy who literally, Belsey, had not skated in a month, just returned to the farm team, gets called up because the big team is so banged up, plays the last 2 games of the year, and you're going to put him in game 1 against LA? And his first shift, they take a penalty. It was Kulak, don't get me wrong. They leave him out there for the PK. And like the PK, what did it take? 25 seconds to set up and score? And the seam goes right through him? No, nobody saw that coming. Nobody. Oh, they're not going to isolate the guy that's slow and hasn't played hockey in a month and isn't even that highly regarded to begin with? I'm getting mad about it right now.
What I liked better was not the post game; it was the pre-game when you heard that he was in the lineup.
Oh,
and you're just like, what? Right off the pad, like, it's like, this is dumb.
It is, and it cost them. Didn't cost them the game. But he played 4 minutes and 54 seconds. Miraculously ended up +1, and was detrimental in a goal against. And rant.
I just before you because you're thinking about something, Belzy. The notes from Knobloch yesterday was still haven't made a decision on starting goalie to come in the morning. Expects Kane to play within the next 3 games. I like that window.
Oh, great!
At some point before Game 4, you expect Evander Kane, and that Frederick played just 104 in the third was because of the game. It was a game issue. It wasn't an injury related thing. And then, as I mentioned, Klingberg an option for Game 2. So those were the notes yesterday from Knobloch. What are you thinking about the Josh Brown stuff there?
Do you actually think it was his fault on that goal?
Belzy, did you see him looking like he had a broom on a curling rink? The way he was this,
but that's like
puck goes
that's
right
like
through him?
That's a detail thing where he's trying to take ice away because you're like, oh, here's my illusion of I'm taking ice away. I just.
Oh my God! Isolate.
I'm just trying
watch
to be. I'm just
watch
curious.
that goal again.
I'm just curious. I did watch it multiple times.
Well,
it's no different than the Hyman
YouTube
stuff.
over my thoughts.
Okay, so here's a question. I'm just going to play devil's advocate for a second.
Sure.
Okay, so if that's Connor on the half wall where Fiala was, and Kuzmenko is now switched with Hyman, and last year you saw it 52 times. Did we sit there and say that defenseman was useless, or did we say that was a great play? Because that's exactly what happens. Because here's
but we're also
but
analyzing it a different way. We're looking at from an like if you're an LA Kings fan right now and you're in LA, you're talking about the great play that happened there. Yep. You're not
but on the other side.
defense.
But here's my point: is that so the puck was on, I believe, if it was the left side of the ice. No, it would have been on the right side of the ice, and it was on this side here. So it's on the right side of the ice. You've got the Oiler forward who's trying to push over top.
Which goal is this?
To keep you
First
down.
goal.
It was the first goal.
Okay, this one.
The middle guy is supposed to take away the seam pass and the bumper at the same time, which sounds crazy because you can't be in 2 spots at once.
Right.
But you also have to make sure that your body position is in a good spot with your stick in that lane to make sure that you take it away. So was that middle forward in the right spot? We could argue that. So
Sure.
then what,
Okay,
so,
yeah,
but then
sure.
what happens now is that the defenseman has to go a little bit higher if he's not taken, which opens up a different seam. So that's the
He
only reason.
didn't go higher. He just sat there like this.
But he was at a different spot. So
like,
that's why
even
I'm
if he
just
shoulder
I'm asking
checked,
that.
you would have seen Kuzmenko was on the post.
So do you want him to go right to the post?
No, I want him to take away the seam. Derek Lalonde goes, this is how he broke it down. And Derek Lalonde, obviously an excellent coach in the NHL, was with the Red Wings up until this year. And he goes, all right, so the Kings go low to high. We always talk about going low to high, work it low to high, get it going, get it across the ice, Royal Road, right? So he goes, all right, you see low to high, yep. And then you see the Oilers forwards break from the low part of the slot to move up high, like you're discussing.
Mm-hmm.
And then so they go D to D, yeah, okay. But he made a comment too. He's like, oh, the Oilers forwards are a little bit discombobulated here.
Yeah, they're not in good spots.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So and then the puck goes across, right?
So he's got the puck.
And then, so the sweep on the forward where there's who's that? Janmark, that's his stick.
Yeah,
he's got his stick going back towards the point. So he's about to bring and then there's 2 guys in the slot.
So here's my problem with it though. The if you go back, just unzoom that. Look where the other forward is.
But what can Brown do in that scenario?
Brown is not supposed to be there.
Where should he be?
He should be lower, taking away the slot and that bumper position. So he's actually.
But he just moved up.
He's in a brutal spot. We played this exact same penalty kill, and obviously I'm not in the NHL, but I know the details of it. He's in an awful spot.
NHL, though.
Terrible spot.
Yeah,
because
okay,
right
but
now,
so
you've taken
puck's going from here and then back here. So this is where you got the forwards down low and the defenseman.
So right now you have 4 guys from the Oilers low.
Yeah.
Because they collapse when the puck is low. But as the puck comes high.
So where should Brown go?
So right now he's in a perfectly fine
people,
spot.
they can't see it. But
so he's in a perfectly
there's
fine
no
spot.
threat here.
There's no threat, but he has routes. Every PK has its own route. So you always want to make sure, based off what they're trying to do, is they're trying to keep guys to the outside. So right now the puck is going from the half wall and it's going to the point.
Low to high.
Right? So Brown needs to now jam on the brakes because he's not in a good spot anymore. There's nobody taking it, and he's got to get back into the middle of the ice to take the seam away. So as this puck goes from the point to Fiala,
he does go to the middle there.
but look at how his route is. It's a loop. I didn't say loop. I said jam on the brakes because the easiest point to get from that seam, because if now that seam's wide open, your job, if you rewind back to it, is if you're the weak side winger, you have 2 jobs. Job number 1 is to take away the bumper, and job number 2 is to take away anything seam pass. So as this puck goes from half wall to point, so who's coming out? Well, the point right now, who is it? Janmark?
Janmark's here.
Yeah. So
Brown's
now
there.
it goes across.
Now he's doing the force from the top.
So he's got to force across, and he does a good job of forcing. But right now, Brown's on a good spot. So it puts the other Brown, both Browns.
Okay.
it puts the other Brown in a bad position because right now it's a 2-on-1 on him.
Yeah, but what's Darnell doing?
He's got to take the shot. He's got to try to block that shot. So right now, there's you're in a really bad spot. So Brown, the defenseman, is isolated on a 2-on-1.
Or is that Wallman?
That's Wallman.
Sorry,
that's
Wallman.
not.
Okay, so Wallman, sorry.
Yeah.
So Wallman's got to go out and block the shot.
Which he's doing.
The other Brown is not in a good spot right now still because he's got to help. Now, when we started that clip, the puck was below the hash marks. You had all 4 players down with the Oilers, right? You don't have all 4. So that's the problem, is that if Brown goes and plays the bumper, the D-man Brown plays the bumper, you leave Kuzmenko wide open. If you decide to go play the back door, you leave the bumper wide open. And so that's kind of my point, is that was it a bad play by Brown, or was he put in a position where he couldn't defend because some of the details in that PK weren't good?
Well, I mean, the way the end of it, he's down on one knee with his stick like this, trying to pretend block a pass. I don't know what the hell he's doing.
Oh, you're 6'6".
Well, the flip side is, could it not be
6'6".
Connor played it bad, but so did Josh.
Yeah,
both
They
Browns.
both,
Yeah,
well,
they both
sure.
Browns played it bad.
But it was and I'll go back to what Lalonde's breakdown was. They did the graphics for him, right, on the Telestrator. And he goes low to high, they move it across, then, Oilers forwards get caught out of position a little bit, then they recover. But then you see the seam, and they stop the video, and you see the seam. And literally, the gray area on the camera goes right through Josh Brown.
Yep.
And
But
I'm
he's
like, there's a guy in the
spot.
seam.
He's in a bad spot.
Well, and
because
he doesn't
gotta
play it
that,
well.
He's got to play that 2-on-1. So now the question is, and this is what you're always trying to do, is you're trying to create those 2-on-1 scenarios
So the
and
Kings
situations.
set it up perfectly.
Perfect
Great.
from the Kings.
But they got terrible defending from the Oilers there. And I
would
think
agree
Josh
with that.
Brown was guilty of it, among others.
Yeah, I'm not
fact that he played
absolving
is
Josh
beyond me.
Brown. I'm just saying,
Okay, it feels
there's
like
so
you
many
are. Why are you attacking me?
there's so many details.
Somebody maybe advised the Oilers for Josh Brown's
Yeah.
contract over here.
Uh-oh.
Guilty.
You must have gotten a good cut.
I just think there's a lot of details within that where you can't just necessarily say it's just that guy. That's
Okay,
all I'm saying.
But yeah, that's fair. I'm just saying the premise of him playing is beyond ridiculous.
Well,
Well, and
that's
this
fair
brings
too.
me to another point I now want to go to. Jimmy Onishi saying playing Klingberg and the Oilers deserve to lose. What is the better option over Brown? Is it Klingberg or is it Dineen?
Either one.
But even I think, was it Reed yesterday before I left, just off air, he said he thinks Dineen is still better than Klingberg, that he's the guy to go.
Probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dineen, if you don't know Dineen, from what you've just seen him in his couple of games that he played as a call-up, him and there's 5 or 6 other vets plus Matt Savoy down in Bakersfield that were logging 25 minutes plus a night, helping try to make a playoff push for the team. And Dineen was one of their studs back there. Every second shift, he was out there. So he's more ready, and he has some NHL experience. He would be more ready than John Klingberg. And I would trust him with more than 4:54 of ice time, maybe even 10 minutes. Because we know the other 5 guys are going to play most of the game anyway.
I would agree with that.
So to me, it was, and then when I got an explanation as to how Brown got in, I was even more blown away by
So
it.
what was that?
And people wanted to get their guy in, justifying why they brought him in. Apparently.
Interesting.
Yeah. I thought that was ridiculous.
Interesting.
How about that?
Crazy.
a
GCL Diesel
little
Ulster
weird.
pregame show. Before just a reminder, Tommy will be on location, Hudson's, West Edmonton, Bourbon Street, tonight for the GCL Diesel Ulster pregame and postgame show. And for games 3 and 4, which are here in Edmonton, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, he will be at the Ice House, Canadian Ice House, downtown in Ice District as well. He'll be able to go there, head over to the game, and the city should be a little bit more wild. There was a mosh pit. It was actually rather full. I was actually somewhat pleasantly surprised at how full it was on Monday because it was chilly and then there was rain. Tonight, still meh weather-wise. 13 degrees, 30% chance of showers this afternoon. Nothing crazy. Friday, 20 degrees with a low of 8. So it's like it's not like we're dropping to 0 or something overnight, so it shouldn't be too cool. And Sunday 17. So I think here in Edmonton on those two game days when the series does ultimately shift back here to Edmonton, it's going to be pretty wild out there. But game 2 tonight, Oilers looking to even up the series at a game apiece, which is where I think the Oilers are still in a great spot because even if they lose tonight, whatever, they're coming home. This is what I said when I didn't care about the fighting for the home ice for the last few weeks. You're still in a good spot, I think. And if you win tonight, you're in a great spot.
Yeah.
I don't disagree. I'm kind of laughing because I'm getting a text from my assistant coach. They just finished practice.
Yeah.
And there was a fight in our practice today.
Oh, no.
Is that good or bad?
Day. Well, I mean, it's U18 hockey, so there should never be a fight. But there was a fight.
Well, because the reason I asked that is that there's always a fight at a CFL training camp, and it comes a couple weeks in, and you hear, it was due. Like, these guys have been banging against each other, hitting each other, that at some point the temper boils over and coaches are almost mad if there isn't one type thing. So
I think that they've been doing so many junior ID camps that they're kind of in that mode now. So they're like competing. And so today it was a fun like games and just compete. And apparently there was an elbow to the chin.
Uh-oh.
Another guy was a little bit dazed and then was pissed. Shedded the mitts, ripped the other kid's helmet off and caught him a few times.
Ooh. Well, you guys aren't playing games anymore, right?
Hilarious. Yeah. No,
you're just wrapping up the year.
Josh Clausen, 20 degrees Friday, but windy. I hate wind. Josh, thanks for listening.
Josh, pull that wind away, please.
By the way, Josh, did you see the TV numbers for RBC Heritage this weekend? PJ it keeps getting stronger with people have forgotten about the Live people. Live is going away. Sorry, Josh, you're like the only person who's watching it. For the most part, it is. The RBC Heritage had massive numbers for PGA this weekend. Yeah.
How did Live do?
No one knows when anything's going on.
I follow them on YouTube, and I remember watching they had a live event. It wasn't the main round or whatever, but they got less viewers than we did live. And that's a golf tour.
They have recovered from the loss of the players to Live. For the most part, they're missing Bryson. He's based on how those guys are golfing. Bryson's the only one they're kind of missing. Rom would have been nice too.
Yeah.
But they're getting TV numbers that are still quite big. So it was a big weekend for them. It was a big weekend for the NBA. It was not a big weekend for the NHL. There was no live event. Nice I know there was no. Well, but no one, like, when's the next one? And what? No one cares. And what are those TV numbers?
Maddie, that's actually a great segue because Jasmine actually put in the nasty chat the NHL through Monday.
Yeah, that was a tweet from someone.
Yeah.
I want to give the credit to the person.
The Stanley Cup playoffs are averaging 718,000 viewers across ESPN and TNT, which is down 27% from last year's 980K.
Yeah, this is from Braylon Breeze, he's got his own Substack and Announcers NHL. So he broke it down. So Sunday, on ESPN, Sunday viewership, F1 in Saudi Arabia had 1.5 million. Padres Astros on Sunday Night Baseball had 1.172 million. Devils Hurricane had 888,000. And Wild Golden Knights had 735,000. Monday night also saw declines. So based on the windows, Canadians Capitals was down 20% from last year. Blues Jets was down 33% from last year. Avs Stars was down 15% last year. Oilers Kings was down 11% from last year. And the wild part, like the NBA saw an increase. Golf saw a major increase, like the two big, and the NHL saw the opposite. The PGA's was the most watched RBC Heritage Final Day in 23 years.
So what do you think that is?
Justin Thomas won, right?
Yeah. First win since 2022.
Yeah.
I think so.
I like him. After watching Full Swing, kind of, that's a good show. I should actually finish that one season. I don't know why that is. Maybe just people aren't amped up for playoff hockey just yet. Could take a little bit of time. Maybe it's matchups. I don't know.
Do you think? Well, I don't think it's fatigue. But.
Last year was good, right? Postseason numbers were really good.
Well, the only reason I was going to bring up fatigue is just because of the 4 nations.
Oh, maybe. Wouldn't that get people more excited for
I was about to say, I would go more, it would get you more amped up for like it was so great. And it's like, oh, I can't wait for this big hockey to come again. Playoffs comes in, okay, it's here now. Let's get into it.
It's so great because it's best on best. And then you see your best on best. And when you come back to it, like, has any game been as good as the Americans versus the Canadians?
No, but that's so hard to replicate.
But if you're in the States, is that not the mentality?
No, Clausen just texted me as well. Also lives in Mexico City this weekend. Awesome. Big markets out, question mark. And that might be it. No Rangers.
Yep.
Obviously, the Blackhawks haven't been there in a few years. No Penguins. Like some of the Boston, not there. Boston and New York being 2 big ones for the last few
massive
years.
Ones, yep.
This is the first time the 4 American original 6 teams have not qualified to the playoffs all at the same time.
There's no Philly. There's no Detroit.
No Chicago.
Like maybe that's a big factor.
And
then you mix it around with you've got 5 Canadian teams.
That's a good point.
That could be it.
That adds up, lowers
so now
the
that
temperature of that.
I'd be curious to know, well, what's the viewership change, I guess, in Canada? So is it actually, it's down 20 cents?
Was 2 million.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's down 27% in the States based off of ESPN and TNT, but it's probably up with Sportsnet.
Well, what hurts with Sportsnet is that you got Leafs Sens in the same game, right? And that number, like I'm the 2 point whatever, I'm sure the Leafs got the same type of numbers by themselves last year.
Fair.
So I don't know if there's an increase there. Jets, there'd obviously be, I would say, an increase for the Jets window in Canada because now there's that. But although they've been there, they've been there, and the Oilers have been there.
Montreal.
I think that's the only one that I think you're going to see an increase because the Jets have been there. The Oilers have been there. So the numbers should be able to. I don't think we're going to see much of an increase in those.
Do you think it'd be slightly higher though between the Leafs and the Sens because it is the Battle of Ontario?
Potentially, but Leafs also are just so massive.
They are.
I'll have to go find. I wonder if I could find Leafs first round last year.
Looney Len texted in 780-218-9999 Paris Jewelers inbox. Yeah, but it was Easter weekend. I love hockey and I enjoyed the sport, but I only watched the Oilers game because it was the end of the Easter weekend. Rest of the time spent with family and friends. Visiting TV was the last thing on our mind. Even sat outside and had a campfire.
Yeah, but the counter to that is the NBA was up and the PGA had like their highest viewership in 23 years.
Yeah.
That's why like that argument doesn't work. Like there's more people actually sitting at home watching TV during Easter weekend. He may be on a more of an outlier, but the numbers went up everywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You were the outlier by dropping as the National Hockey League. So it's not easy. You can't point to Easter weekend in my mind because then you should have seen numbers drop across the board for all those sports.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see if I can find what the Leafs had last year. In 2023, when the Leafs clinched their first round over the Lightning, so it was a bigger game, obviously. They had 4.4 million themselves in that one game.
That is huge numbers.
I think the markets have a big deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
Because the players still get a revenue off of that, right? When they
It's
win the first
HRR,
round?
I would think so, yeah. And then, you get like what do you get, a series check?
Yeah. Because I used to remember, actually, it does play a big factor. And I remember that you'd always hope for certain teams to be in the playoffs, especially in the minors.
Oh.
Because if Hershey was in the playoffs, you had massive gates, like 10,000, 12,000. You hoped that, who else would have been a big one down there? You were hoping that the Moose, Winnipeg, would be obviously a massive one. You were always hoping that Hamilton would be in there because you'd start to have an increase. You always hope that Chicago would be there.
Yeah.
You hope that some of the Texas teams would be in because you just have the overall pool would be massive. You hated like Peoria. You get 2,000. You're like, first of all, it's a terrible city. And then you'd have like 2,000 fans. So, but you just see that your share would be way bigger.
I see. Are we talking like hundreds of bucks or thousands of bucks?
Thousands of bucks.
Damn.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. I get it.
And the same probably said in the NHL.
Times X amount because it's bigger stage. That's interesting. So they are getting paid, is what people are probably thinking. Yes, they do get paid.
They
in the
do
playoffs.
get paid in the playoffs. Yes.
It's just not your regular paycheck.
Yeah.
But yeah. A little
But
bit
your
of
but your
incentive.
your regular paycheck, if you're Connor McDavid, is what?
Hundreds of thousands.
Hundreds of thousands. And then for that's first, if you lose in the first round, you're probably getting $5,000.
That's
So,
it.
Yeah. It's,
Oh, okay. Nothing for him.
Yeah.
Obviously. That's funny. I remember, you know when guys would make appearances
Mhm.
and they'd get their check, like they go do a signing somewhere. I remember because this was at the old rink. They had their mail in the back room of the locker room, right?
Yep.
And I had to go back there for something, and I was sitting in the lounge with the trainers or something like that, and we're looking at the mail, and they're like, "Look at this. These are all checks. These guys don't even cash them."
Oh yeah. Actually, I
Yeah.
remember that one of my first camps ever in Dallas. We were using the Stars practice facility, and so we got to use the change room and stuff.
Yep.
So we're in there, and I remember one guy's like, "Holy, look at this!" And it was Medano's check.
Mm.
And it wasn't cash. It was like $143,000. And guys are coming to a junior like 143,000. This guy hasn't even cashed his check.
Yeah.
Like imagine being that rich and
Oh
just
my
let that
God.
slide.
Yeah. I just remember there's like a stack of letters and a bunch
Yeah.
of them. And I'm like, what are those? And they're like, those are checks,
Those are the checks
that
they
these
haven't
guys did
cashed.
for appearances and stuff, and they don't cash them. I'm like, pardon me?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Can you sign that over to me?
Yeah, I'll
Yeah,
take
no
a couple
kidding.
of those.
No.
I'll take that off your hands. So
Yeah, no
don't
problem.
worry. The official drink of the EST Hangout is the Finnish long drink legend in 1952. A drink unlike any other sparkling refreshment. Real liquor, longdrink.com/Canada, where you can enter your postal code and find a liquor store and establishment nearest you with the long drink. You can get the traditional, sugar-free traditional, both absolutely delicious. Both going to be great for the golf game this year, as well as watching some Oiler games. So the Oilers and the Kings, they will go later tonight. I should have looked at the NHL schedule earlier just to.
Another 8 p.m. start for the Oil Kings.
Oil Kings.
Oilers and Kings is what you meant.
Oil Kings.
Okay. 8 o'clock, so 8:20-ish. Canadians, Caps at 5, Stars, Avs at 7:30. We're back to normal times in the NHL playoffs today compared to what we saw yesterday.
Yeah.
Yesterday was a bit weird, wasn't
It was
it?
very weird.
Yeah.
It was because you had Golden Knights Wild face off at 9 o'clock our time, which is 8 o'clock in Vegas, but 10 o'clock out in Minnesota. You had Tampa,
The
Florida
times are awful.
go at 8:30. It was closer to like 8:30, 8:50 almost out there.
Mhm.
It was just after 6:30 our time here. Then you had the Hurricanes and Devils start at 4 our time, which is 6 Eastern, which isn't bad. And then Sens Leafs was
What happened to just
5:30.
like a
And
good
Bill
old-
Belichick was at the Hurricanes game.
I did see
Oh,
that.
yes,
That was
yeah.
nice. What happened to it? Like just a nice 7 o'clock or 7:30 start.
Because they were building double headers, or like there was a triple header being built on ESPN yesterday.
Oh, right.
It was 4 o'clock. The 3 games were supposed to all be on ESPN. So it was 4 o'clock for Devils, Hurricanes, 6:30 for Lightning, Panthers, 9 o'clock for Golden Knights, Wild. That's what they were trying to do.
Overlaps don't work anymore.
Mm.
Or do you gotta watch the one, and then you gotta have like a popcorn break or a bathroom break, and then
Well,
watch
there would have
the
been
second-
there would have had to been close to an overlap for that first one. I
small
think.
one, very
Yeah.
small. But like, why not just start the next game at the end of the second intermission?
I would start at the beginning of the second intermission, actually,
Yeah, perfect timing.
because then they play during the intermission,
And
flip.
then boom, and then all of a sudden you get all your games.
I don't know. I maybe they were trying something to
It's
see if
crazy
it
talk,
works.
Matthew.
Yeah.
Talk.
It was when I looked at the schedule yesterday here on the Hangout. It was one where I had to be like, "Am I looking at this right?" Yeah, here we go. You want weird again? I'll
Yep.
give you weird again
Lay it
tomorrow.
on us.
You got 4:30 our time for Lightning Panthers. So 6:30 out there. So they play yesterday at 8:30. Tomorrow it's going to be 6:30. You've got a 7:30 game tomorrow between the Blues and the Jets out in St. Louis. That's 8:30. That's like when
That's weird.
we had the Oilers Kings 8:30 starts and stuff.
Yeah.
But even there in LA it was 7:30. Here it's an 8:30 start out in St. Louis.
Huss was talking about the Jets had some weird ones where the game, they had 8:30 starts.
Is somebody
In
taking
Winnipeg.
their building?
No.
Oh,
I don't think so.
And then they're at 11 o'clock in the morning on Sunday for Game 4.
That is all over the map.
It is.
They are all over the map. The Oilers have that 30-minute extra window on Sunday. And then we don't have time. So those are the weird ones. Yeah, tomorrow, though, you're getting that late. If you're a Blues fan out in St. Louis heading to the game, it's a late one.
It's a good hockey city.
Kids, you can put the kids to bed, have a little relax, like jump in a hot tub or something, and then still time to go to the game. Like you can do so much.
There's
bit of hot
so
tub
much
time.
you can do, yeah.
Before you have to head out to the hockey game.
Jeffy texting, he says, I used to love the overlaps. You could flip over to another game during ads and intermissions, but that's probably why they don't want to do it.
Yeah, I miss it because they used to do just 4 games at night.
Yeah.
It was 4 and 4.
And it was easy.
You had a 5 and a 5:30 generally. You had maybe a 7 and an 8 o'clock, and that was the time.
And it was easy watching.
You jump around, you flip around. But I think one thing maybe that changes this is it's now, like before it was NBC. So it was one network carrying the playoffs down south.
Yeah.
They got to move it to their various platforms, but it was one network. Here, you're dealing with ESPN, you're dealing with TNT, and it's harder to
That's a good point.
cross it.
Yeah.
Because you're not, TNT is going to sit there and be like, I don't want them flipping to ESPN.
Yep.
And ESPN vice versa. I don't want them flipping to TNT and CBS.
Oh, I mean, ESPN is probably on Deportes.
I liked ESPN Deportes whenever I was down there. This is good.
It's great stuff.
It's good stuff. I did want to watch this. It's got to be in Spanish. That's fine.
Before, like, I don't want to sidetrack too much off hockey quickly right here, but did you see what happened to Shaq this week
No.
Which one?
when he had to run off the panel?
Yeah, he had to run off, and then they gave him a porta potty yesterday.
No.
Yeah.
He had to go to the bathroom. Like, he might have pooped himself on screen. He just got up and just started walking away. Like, Shaq, where are you going? I gotta go.
Yeah.
I saw them playing hockey yesterday, and Shaq had the Zach Hyman stick that Brad Harrison concocted and Frankenstein together for him, which was great. But so he really walked off set because he had to.
He kind of,
had
it
an
wasn't quite
emergency.
a walk. It was kind of like one of those quick, like,
Oh no,
Yeah.
that is not a good situation to be in. Uh-oh.
yeah. I gotta go.
Poor
No
guy.
questions. I'm just gone.
So
There he is. Okay, he just gets up.
Gets up,
he's
and
like-
I want to fight.
Oh no.
We all
That's. Oh no! Charles takes some matches with you.
And then, they show the backstage shot of the door just closing behind him.
I love how they incorporate this into the show. That's why it's so good.
Which is, TNT doesn't have basketball next year. I think it's starting
no.
next year, but the show's continuing.
Where are they continuing it? I saw that there was that announcement, but where are they putting it?
I think, isn't it? I think it's a production. Either one of two things is happening. I still can't fully remember. I think it's being shown on ESPN.
Even though they don't have the games, or they do have the games?
They're broadcasting. They don't have the games. What they do is going to be like given to ESPN to air.
Oh, okay.
They're also doing like a weekly show or something like that, where they
Interesting.
just talk. So it's not during a game, but
Yeah.
it'll just be a weekly show with the guys in the studio.
That's cool. I like that. I think that's like a weekly roundup, kind of like a Hello Hockey of basketball, but with superstars. And
Nice reference. Nice
Champion.
plug, buddy.
oh, that's what Hello Hockey is.
Do you guys go to the bathroom mid-show during the segment? We do it on
not
this
often.
show.
Mid show.
We have commercials, but they're
Commercial
very
breaks,
brief.
They work.
You could go here on this show at points. I don't think anyone's had to go the second one. People have had to go.
I've had to leave.
Yeah. You've had to leave for something
You
else.
almost won an Esty for your performance when you had to leave a couple of times.
Yeah, it's still under protest.
They
But I
didn't
was
win?
not in good way.
No,
that
you
day.
were in rough shape. I have not really seen you like that ever. I think maybe once or twice.
Yeah, I rarely get to that level.
Yeah, no, you're a seasoned pro. This text says, you know who has never had 8:30 starts? The Toronto Maple Leafs. Yep, they're the darlings.
Facts.
Well, they'll be, and it sucks in that sense. Actually, they did during the regular season. I always found it weird.
At home or on the road?
When they came to Edmonton, there was like an 8:30 start out here. During that, they had like 3 games in a row.
Oh yeah, didn't Connor say something about that too? Where
This year,
like,
he said they're always get the early time.
Right.
But this was in that all Canadian division.
Oh, yeah.
The Leafs came out here and it was 8:30 or 8 o'clock Edmonton time. And I was like, wow, you don't see that often with the Leafs. It was very rare.
I wonder if there was a lot of turmoil in Toronto.
It was a regional game, that also.
Yeah.
The thing is, and it sucks for people, but there are certain markets that you'll never mess with their time zone because of the number of eyeballs that it draws in.
Mm-hmm.
The Leafs will be that. You'll never see the Rangers have a bad time zone. If they're ever in the playoffs, the Rangers ain't getting bad time zones. The Boston Bruins ain't getting that bad time zones. There's just certain markets because they're going to get drawn in, and it's better for business.
Yep.
And it's Yankees will never like when baseball playoffs happens. Like there's those like 11 o'clock starts. Yeah, like the Twins are almost always in that, unless they're playing the Yankees or something. The Yankees will get a good time. Like there's certain markets, and it's people will complain about it. I understand that, but I also understand the flip side to that, why it happens.
I have just a aside as part of the Yankees discussion there. It was very strange seeing them go to Tampa, quote unquote, and play the Rays at their own practice spring training facility. Did you see that?
I actually didn't pay attention.
It happened last week. So the Yankees are allowed or came up with they had a deal with the Rays for them to play. I think it's George Steinbrenner Stadium in Tampa, their spring training facility, and they have like everywhere where it says Yankees, they covered it with Rays because they got to get the roof fixed at Tropicana Field, and so the Yankees got booed there. And I was sitting there wondering, and I didn't listen to the broadcast. I was just watching the highlights, but they played the sound of them getting booed and Aaron Judge being chanted that he was overrated. But in that scenario, basically the Rays, I would imagine, have the Yankees' home facilities, which I'm sure in that particular facility is tremendous, right? Because they spare no expense with those spring training facilities. Actually, my buddy Mike used to work for them. He would know, but wouldn't it be weird if that's your spring training facility that you go to every year for a month plus, and then you got to go play regular season games there, and oh, by the way, your divisional rival is calling it their home for a year or two? I would find that so odd.
Players, it's weird. President of the Yankees is laughing because he's we made the money already from the race.
100%.
Yeah, that would, and then I'm assuming it still is nice enough opposing teams.
Yeah,
but it ain't the home team
That's
facilities, right? And you know what you're missing. Yeah, like that's the other thing. If you're another player like that comes in, like unless you've played for the Yankees through spring training, you don't know what's over there.
Yep.
When you're the Yankees, you're like, we were just here.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is ours.
Here's a porta potty.
Oh, jeez. They actually brought one in.
Yeah.
This is the EST Hangout presented by Sentinel Storage, Canada Storage experts, more than 2 decades helping Canadians through life's transition. Canadian storage provider by Canadian. Go to sentinel.ca right now until the end of the month. They got your pick your own deal. So for more information on that, sentinel.ca. Shawn Belle, Tom Gazzola, Matt Iwanyk with here on the EST Hangout, live on TuneIn, iHeartRadio, EdmontonSportsTalk.com, on YouTube. And thank you to everyone for listening to us on the podcast, wherever you get your podcast, and be sure to subscribe to all of our podcasts and also on the YouTube. I don't do a good enough job of saying this, but hit that thumbs up for this EST Hangout.
We are 20 subscriptions away from 11,600.
Whoa, that's unbelievable.
Trev just posted that on our official
Let's
account.
go. Let's get that today.
Let's get that today, please. We can do it.
I do want to get to the Oilers here with something.
Yes, of course.
You answered this yesterday. I answered this yesterday, so I'm going to give it to Belsey.
Okay.
Any chance Chris Knobloch makes the change in goalie today? What do you think?
No. I still think Skinner's their guy. I think he's on a short leash.
Yeah.
I think they have the ability to say that some of the goals weren't his fault. So whether he let in, doesn't matter what he let in. They have the ability to say it wasn't his fault. And we can sit here and argue whether he played good, bad, or indifferent. They still have the ability to say, well, you look at 2 of those goals, there were giveaways right in the slot. There was 1 goal that came through a jumping screen. Like, they just have the ability to say he was okay. He made some big saves. So I think they go back to him.
Would it shock you if he doesn't?
Nothing shocks me with this Oilers team.
I'd be a bit surprised. That's a good point by Belsey. Nothing should shock you. But listen, he wasn't great. Kemper wasn't great either. I don't know if this goaltending.
But there's a different, like, because I heard Casco is anyone in, like, on the post game show, is anyone in LA going to be calling for Kemper? They're very different situations though. Kemper was the guy. He's going to be a Vezina finalist for the LA Kings this year, and there wasn't his position was never in doubt
right
throughout the season. Whereas here in Edmonton, Skinner's position as the starter of this team was in doubt as recently as 2 weeks ago, I would say.
Yep.
Calvin Pickard played well enough in that. Skinner hasn't played well enough, I'd say, for the most part, in this calendar year. Pickard then played well enough to that there was a conversation. That's why it's like, I don't like is LA going to be having this conversation? Because they're in a much different spot, goaltending-wise. They knew going into this who their number one is no matter what.
Yeah.
Again, we were wondering, what is it? Jim Hiller doesn't have to name whose name game one starter was. He doesn't have to name who's starter for game two.
Yeah,
everyone knows. Whereas Chris Knobloch had to come out and be like, yeah, our game one starter will be Skinner and stuff.
Yeah. I think he starts tonight. And then depending on how he performs, we could see a change. If he plays well, shuts it down, doesn't have any stinkers, then he's in game 3. If he has a few questionable ones, they lose again.
Then I could see them changing it.
I think he's in every win he gets gives him 2 more games. I don't think he can afford a loss, like 2 straight losses. That's where I think the change comes. But if he wins today, he's going to obviously get game 3. I think anything, whatever happens in game 3, he'll get game 4 because let's see him rebound. I think it would have to be back-to-back 4 games.
Okay, but yeah, poor games. Because if he has like 40 saves and the 1 or 2 goals that go in are just stupid bonehead mistakes by his defense, then how is it his fault?
Yeah.
Although some will find it to be his fault.
The only reason I'll still stay with, like, if it's 2 straight losses, I could see that with Knobloch going, we're just going to mix things up.
But yeah, that's fair.
Where it's not Skinner's fault, but we've lost now. It'd be technically at that point a 3-1 series. We got to try something else.
Yeah, at that point, yeah, sure.
But that's why I think that, like, it's every win he gets gives him 2 more.
Bit
so he goes
rope.
wins tonight. Yep. He's got 2 more games.
Yep.
He loses tonight. I don't think he's the starter for game 3.
Yeah.
Even if it is like, it would have to be like a 1-2 goal allowed performance for me to think that Skinner wouldn't be the game 3 starter.
Yeah.
Should the Oilers lose?
Yep.
Although no matter what happens, outside of like Skinner could let in 1 goal tonight, and if they lose tonight, there'll be calls for him to come out.
It's just, I understand it, I really do, but at the same time, I sit there and I'm like, man, it's not just always him.
I don't know if you read.
I saw one in.
Adam had a question, which I'm intrigued by this. So I'll let you finish, then I'll get to this question.
Like, which goals were his fault?
Nope. Well, you could answer that one.
I didn't like the Byfield one.
It was, what about the idea of playing Pickard game 4 regardless? Just tell the goalies now that's what they did all season. For
that's weird.
And then this is where I will defend Adam here. Why do it in the regular season, but why is it not okay come playoff time? If it works for you in the playoffs, man, to get victories, but why treat it that way? Why not treat it like this is how we got here. This is how our team is successful. Let's continue that. Skinner's a guy that we'll give him that day off. Pickard goes in. We trust Pickard. He's going to get us the win. And we go back to Skinner. Why does there have to be, we get upset when the refs call different rule books in playoffs? Why approach the series differently than how you do in the regular season?
Because it's not the regular season. You don't have another a day on the lifeline, so to speak. So you're in the playoffs, everything is to win. And so the coaches are going to put the guys out that they feel give them the best opportunity to win. And so, like, we've sat here in Edmonton all year and we've debated back and forth between Pickard and Skinner and Pickard, and Rodrigue at one point was in the conversation. But the reality of the situation is, in the Edmonton Oilers management and coaches' eyes, Skinner gives them the best opportunity to win because he has the highest ceiling. I'm not telling you this is right. I'm not telling you it's wrong. I'm just telling you exactly what they think. And so if you're that coach, you're saying, okay, well, this is the guy that's going to give us the best opportunity. So I'm going to try to ride my horse until he can't do it. And if he proves to me that he can't do it, then I obviously have a capable backup in Pickard.
He's your old teammate and roommate. Say his name.
He's
right.
Captain Pickard.
Okay, fine.
So that's the mentality. So once again, I'm not telling you it's right and I'm not telling you it's wrong. It is what it is. And that's how it is across the board. But here's the other true statement. If Darcy Kempfer was in Edmonton and he let in the goals that he let in, are we torching him because of one game?
Yes.
Okay. Well,
Get rid of it.
are we going to get rid of Kempfer? But you look at the goals that the Oilers scored. It's just one of those things where it's like, it's not just one guy. And I think somebody in the Nasty Chat said it. It's not always just one guy. And we're so quick to blame just one particular person. Well, okay. You look at the last goal that was scored. They're like, well, Bush and Skinner, you guys got to figure this out. Bush because he got out of the way, and Skinner because he didn't fight hard enough to see it. Well, last time I checked, have you ever been standing in goal and a puck is coming at you and you have it in sight, and then some 6'3", 220 guy jumps who you don't even think can jump over a credit card, but has crazy vert in that particular situation, and this puck comes through a guy. It's an off-speed pitch where you think it's coming way quicker. Yeah, that might do a little bit of tricks to you. But then if you rewind it, well, Draisaitl doesn't back check, and whose guy was it?
And
We're not talking
but
about...
what about the turnover at the blue line,
how about
too?
that?
Or how about leaving your guys out there for 4 of the last 5
How about
minutes?
those things?
Yeah.
But we
What
don't
did you
talk
make of
about
that
those
and
things.
leaving the guys out there? Because
I just-
Ron Lowe yesterday, he said he liked the idea of you go for it.
I thought that's the reason I didn't care for, like, I didn't care, or like,
You're
whatever.
not upset.
I'm not upset because those guys were absolutely rolling. And I said it on Reed's show yesterday. I'm like, every single time that those guys were on the ice, they had a chance. And it wasn't a small chance. It was a grade A opportunity. So they're feeling it. Why not put them back out there? Now, there's obviously, can we shorten the shift? Can we, change things up a little bit? There's that conversation that always comes out. But at the end of the day, like, those guys were feeling it and the Kings were reeling. So you're trying to go for the win. It's no different than putting the guys that you want in the lineup.
Brandon texting in. Brandon says, vastly different goaltender situations, but Bruins fans, myself included, had no idea why they didn't just rotate Swayman and Allmark 2 years ago. Now they were both playing like number ones, but why mess with the winning formula?
And that's where I'm surprised that we haven't seen teams try that model throughout the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is a thing. You get to the playoffs and it's, well, this is my starter and he's my starter.
Yeah.
And there are certain teams that don't have legit defined, this guy is our true starter. And the teams that do that for 82 games, I don't know why we haven't seen that one coach be like, I'm going to give this a full go in the playoffs. Although didn't the Hurricanes do this a couple years ago?
Freddie Anderson was hurt, or he
there was one where they gave someone
like that.
They did give a break to a goalie.
That was Freddie Anderson.
And I think did they get to a conference finals? Or did they lose prior to one of the years?
I feel like they always get to the second round and lose.
But I think that was the one time I was like, oh, there is a team that's trying this. And I'm just like, that with all the, we have these, different ways. And newer coaches, when they come up, they try different things. What was it Patrick Waugh that was the first one to pull the goal extremely early?
Yep.
Right? Like, and now that's something you see a little bit more.
They helped the Oilers get the tie.
100%. I'm surprised there hasn't been that one coach that goes, we don't have Connor Hellebuck. We're going to play a goalie for 2, play the other guy, play a goalie for 3, play the other guy. Or I guess that one won't work in the best of 7. And then I understand where Adam's coming from, but I also understand that it's like, you also don't want to be that coach that goes, well, I overthought the playoffs.
Yeah.
We lost game 3 because I went to the backup because I just wanted to give a rest here, and we didn't recover in the series because in the playoffs, at the very least, you're playing one team.
Yes.
You're not playing.
And you're playing every second day. And
yeah, that's what Jason LeDuc is saying. He says, in the regular season, you don't play the same team over and over again. Completely different scenario than a regular season. Then Mark says, my counter argument to the comparison of goals scored on the goalies is what would Skinner look like facing Draisaitl and McDavid going zombie playoff mode in the playoffs? No goalie has been able to limit those guys in the playoffs. It's apples to oranges to me.
It's not apples to oranges because they made Kemper, who was a Vezina finalist, Kemper, whatever, made him look that he was a Vezina finalist, or he's in the conversation.
Yeah,
and they made him look
He'll
ordinary.
be a finalist.
Yeah,
he made him look ordinary. So Skinner's in the opposite net, he's going to look ordinary. That's like,
well, I'll say if Skinner was in game 1 for the LA Kings, he probably has the shutout through the first 58 minutes or whatever, 59 minutes of that game too. Because did Kemper really make a hard save? Before the Oilers scored their first goal?
No.
Like Skinner's making those saves too that Kemper's making.
It's crazy what happens to a goaltender when you don't just give up backdoor chances every 2 seconds. It's crazy what happens to a goaltender when you're not throwing pizzas up the middle to guys that are wide open in the slot. And then the counter argument that people will be like, well, you got to make that save. Okay. You know what? Make that save when it's an elite shooter in the middle of the slot with enough time to have a quick vape, have a snack.
Buy a vape.
I was going to say smoke.
I
was going to say smoke, but vape's a new thing. So they can have a quick vape. They can put that thing out if they want to, stick it back in their pocket. They still have enough time to pick whatever corner they want. Well, yeah, it happens.
There were people blaming Skinner for that Fiala rocket one time, and I was just like, what?
Could he have pushed off earlier? Sure.
That thing went like bar down.
Yeah. But you have to honor the guy. You have to honor Kempe. You have to honor him. No matter what you try to do, you have to honor that guy. Because if you cheat, well, guess what he's going to do? He's going to put it short side, and then you're going to be like, how dare you allow that to go short side? So
That'd
you honor the shot.
Worse.
Exactly.
That'd be even more egregious.
So you honor the shot, and then it goes, east-west, like we talked about.
He claps one.
And then he rips that thing.
Yeah. One text. Here we go. KR says, based on the last 5 minutes of game 1, the obvious answer is to just play with 6 players. No goalie, thumbs up.
Yeah.
I did like that joke on Twitter that the best goalie for the Oilers was the empty net. That they did have
oh, that's so harsh but funny.
Yeah.
Mark also adds, the Oilers should have addressed their goaltending like the Avs did because overall the team isn't as good depth-wise as last year. It likely cost them another shot at the cup. I will counter with this. I really don't think the Colorado Avalanche goaltending is that good. Yes, it's better than Georgiev, but I don't think the lumberyard, quote unquote, with Wedgwood and Blackwood are Stanley Cup caliber. And they still might make it.
Is there reports that Skinner's 240?
His weight?
Yeah, somebody just put in the nasty chat. What about the report Skinner's 240 coming into camp and is extremely out of shape?
He doesn't look extremely out of shape. I mean, I see him in the locker room and he's just in his hockey underwear. He doesn't look out of shape. Never did. Not that I'm staring and looking at that, but
he's listed at 230.
He's 6'4", you guys.
6'4", 230.
Yeah.
So even if he did add 10, one, I would say, do you have a point of reference for us to go look at that?
He doesn't look chunky, but I'll tell you that much.
10 pounds, adding 10 pounds.
Listen,
that could be just pure muscle.
Dustin Byfuglien was 280 pounds and he could fly around the ice, and that guy wasn't built out of marble. I can tell you that. But that was one of the most dominant players the NHL has seen.
Yeah.
So,
also, I
just
want to address this. I keep seeing and people asking, I'm hearing this. I've heard through so-and-so and so-so who's pretty connected. Usually a lot of that is hearsay and BS. And people keep asking, there's some conspiracy theories going into game 1. And I'm like, where are you guys getting this crap?
What conspiracy theories?
I don't know, man. Is it message boards? And that one, him being 240. It's what is this? Him being, when he was out, people say, oh, there's this and this wrong with him. It's where the hell do you guys come up with this stuff? Most of 90% of the time it's false. And then 10% of the time there's a slight truth to it. And I'm going WTF? Where are these rumors coming from?
Corey Perry in the nasty chat with the worm picture. The issue is he was 206 2 years ago. So he might have been a lower weight, that tells
was 2
me.
years ago though?
Yeah, that just tells me he was in the gym.
Yeah.
I think it's very rare nowadays. I know it happens, but I don't think there's a lot of players that come to training camp overweight anymore.
If you're asking, I'm just saying from seeing him in the locker room, he doesn't look chunky. He doesn't look fat.
It would have come out too, I think, a lot sooner.
Yeah.
You would have had some sort of report that the Oilers are not happy with Stuart Skinner's weight. That always would come out.
Yeah, we would find out about that.
And also even to the point of you see Patrick Mahomes looks like he's got dad bod and stuff, and look what that guy can do. right? And I'm not putting Stuart Skinner in the same category as Patrick Maroon, but these are pro athletes.
Yeah.
And when you're dealing with pro athletes, like what they can do is I just read that as he focused on adding weight and adding muscle to his body over the last few years.
So he was 206 2 years ago, and he's 230 now.
Yeah.
So to put that in context,
25 pounds, 24 pounds,
24 pounds in 2 years.
12 pounds a year.
But that's his
of
listed
muscle.
like that thing. They flub those all the time.
Oh, guys lie about that stuff all the time.
Right. But how hard is it to add 24 pounds of muscle in 2 years?
Not that hard.
You would know.
Huh.
That's why it's like, it's not, I'll always like, yeah, we would have heard something. There would have been something. There would have been some sort of story. You wouldn't hear that at the playoff time. I've heard this. That would have been something that was thrown in the nasty chat or in the Paris Drillers inbox back in November. That somebody would be like, I'm hearing he came into camp over it. But the fact that you're hearing it now just says you're making stuff up.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, listen, I love Oiler fans. I love the passion that they have. Like, it's an unbelievable hockey market. But, like, come on. Don't just make stuff up because you're upset at Skinner, and that's the only thing that we see. There's so many guys on the team, and there's so many things that happen in a game, and there's so many mistakes that happen. That's why every single coach says, hey, do your own job, because it's easier to fix one mistake than it is to fix 5. And on some of these goals, some of them, keyword, there's like 4 or 5 mistakes, and they all compound, and then they end up in the back of your net. And that's what hockey is. You can't turn over pucks in the middle of the ice and expect they're not going to end up in the back of your net. So,
Jason says 20 pounds of muscle in 2 years is hard.
it's not that hard.
He had to work hard to do that.
Well, I guess, yeah, he had to work. Yeah. Thank you, Jason.
He added that after. Because I'm going like,
yeah. But
initially, if it's just 20 pounds as a pro athlete with everything that you have at your disposal,
yeah.
When it comes to workout equipment, just knowledge, information, the people around you to help you get there.
Yeah.
Jeff Kershell, like you go to him and be like, hey, give me 20 pounds of muscle over this summer. I'll see you every day type thing. He'll do it.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, I just, once again, I get where
We're back.
There we go.
There we go.
We got
We're
the
back.
audio
Sorry about
going.
that. I don't know why the cable just died on us.
Matthew fixed it like he always does.
Oh, wait, thankfully I had that other cable sitting here.
Trev too. He was clutch with like his hat.
He told us that we're off the
Be
air.
clutch. Yes.
Yeah,
Wouldn't
nice
have known
work.
that right
Nice
away.
work,
Very
Trev.
good. Round of applause.
We're
Round of
back
applause.
Attaboy.
to everyone
Oh,
listening on
yeah.
TuneIn and or YouTube audio stream or whatever. Our audio their cable just gone, stopped working or whatever. To those watching on YouTube, they had that nice little graphic. And it told me once that you just reset.
There you go.
Yep.
As opposed to us just sitting here
Yep.
smiling, looking people
Smiling,
like, what's going
looking.
on over there?
Ah, the reset. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the full
that's a good way
reset.
to do it.
We did that.
There we
So
go. We're back.
we're all back. We're good. We're going.
Okay, I have a few texts that have come in that I'd like to read. One's from Mike, the Michigan fan, says, when does the narrative that Bouchard offense outweighs his defensive play end? How many more giveaways that end up in the Oilers' net and all his defensive blunders does it take?
Well, the problem is that
question.
he had 3 points and he technically had 2 giveaways. So until it starts flipping the opposite way, he's still going to be loved for his offensive ability. I think Noodles actually said it on the Nielsen show. He is good for the exact reasons he's bad. And it's casual.
He's very casual.
But when he makes plays on the offensive end, it's because he's so patient with the puck. And he makes plays where he can outweight guys. But at the same time, like on the defensive end, you got to mix in the stride.
Let's go to Paulie Deuce here. Like I know your tone there. I like it. That makes me laugh. Paulie Deuce texting in saying, goalies are just easy targets. It's annoying to hear people ripping Skinner while not being able to break down the play, leading to high quality scoring chances. I challenge people in these discussions on goaltending to break down the play leading up to the goal from both teams' perspective. I guarantee you'll see a difference. If not, then you're probably just a Skinner hater. Signed, Paulie Deuce. Good text.
Great text.
I saw something, Ritter Jesse tweeted this during that game 1. He said he wished there was an all 22 cam for the NHL you subscribe to. And I don't know if you could still do that for the NFL. But there once was a time in the NFL, I haven't looked at this in the last few years, you can get on like the Tuesday, they give you the coaches film. So like the NFL has 22 cameras going, basically, one on each player on the field.
Yep.
And you can isolate and you could just watch one player in the entire shift or the entire play and watch the whole game. It'd be nice if there were like those extra cameras that.
Yep.
The all
teams
24?
If getting that for.
They have that in the NHL.
But that people can subscribe to.
Oh, it's not. Yeah, it's
right?
not,
Like
not
having
public.
I'm sure there's a lot of hockey fans that would subscribe to that. That again, like maybe for the NHL, it's, every Monday, the previous week's games gets released or something like that.
It'd be cool.
Or like an X period of time. And I think there's been a lot of people that would have loved to have gone back to watch game 1 again. Because like to your point, even like there's not just one person that's wrong with a goal. It's also not just that moment that leads to a goal.
True.
Sometimes it's what's happened, a little bit sooner that led, to the turnover, whatever it was that you easily forget about quickly because you're now focused on the immediate goal. They go, well, if this didn't happen though, if you didn't make this boneheaded play, you would have still had the puck or something.
Cass has a great term for that. Compounding errors.
It's facts.
Yeah.
Like I just, once again, the first giveaway from Bouchard. He's got a player on him. Nurse is on the exact same side as him.
Yeah.
So he tries to reverse the puck, but he didn't look. And if
Instinctual.
it was an instinctual, like, okay, he's behind me, I'm going to make this quick play. Because you watch the Oilers, they do a lot of reverses, they do a lot of D-to-D, but all Bouch had to do was skate. The guy was behind him. He wasn't in front of him. He wasn't beside him. He was there. And even if he was beside him, then scrum the puck in the corner.
Oh, he doesn't want to do that.
Right? But so like
But yeah, I know what
that's
you
a massive error because now you're throwing this grenade to Nurse who's not ready for it and is not expecting it because he's got a guy draped on top of him. It kicks into the middle of the ice. Boom, it's in the back of your net. You're like, well, man, Skinner, you should have had that. Well, it's like,
Oh, hang on a second.
like hold the phone.
Yeah.
If we want to critique, let's critique people. If we want to be upset, let's be upset. But like, don't just fixate on the guy that lets the goal in because it wasn't necessarily just that situation.
That's fair.
There was tons. So if you want to scrutinize, then hey, let's do it, and I'll do it with you. But at least let's be factual with what we're trying to do and what we're trying to say. And I just find way too often we're just so quick to be like, Boosh, Skinner, fire him to the moon. But case in point, the last goal, dry. You waited and you hoped that your team would get the puck instead of just back checking. Because if you would have back checked, you would have caught Danault and there would be no shot.
Right.
And we're probably going into overtime. And maybe we're having a different conversation.
Oilers win that game in overtime.
Well, there you go.
I thought so for sure. And like Ron Lowe was sitting in this chair yesterday. He said I would have gone for it too, the same way Chris. And I've heard a lot of that. Like, go for it, go for the kill. You got them on the ropes.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I just thought, hey, Edmonton's got all the momentum in OT. They just took it all away. I thought they would have the edge in OT, but you never know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because like there's the two ways of looking at it from a Kings perspective. One is either they go in the room and go, these guys, we just can't beat them.
Yeah.
And they come out and the Oilers are feeling good and
Mm-hmm.
put one in, game over. Or is that for the LA Kings gives them the reset that they need? And is that where Chris Knobloch's like, okay, if we go to overtime, these boys get in the locker room, we're like, okay, guys, and they get a chance to regroup, refocus, and go, we got these guys. And they come out with a little bit extra jump in their step. And that's why Chris Knobloch's like, let's finish this now because they're going to be a little more ready come overtime.
There could be something.
And that's where I'm wondering if that was where he was trying to balance this is a team that needs, the LA Kings are a team that needs a reset right now. They need a timeout. They need something. But that's overtime. And let's finish it now so they don't get that reset.
I still think even if they got to overtime, the Oilers were winning that game because the Oilers were rolling. They scored tons of goals in that period. And there was nothing that the Kings could do to stop them from happening. So you take a break, cool. But in your mind, you're like, man, we just gave up a 4-goal lead in the third period.
Yeah.
So it plays tricks on you.
I appreciate the cojones that Knobloch showed to go for the kill. I was a bit surprised. I'm like, why do you leave him out there?
It actually reminded me that there was a Bahamas Bowl game of all games.
Of course you watched this.
Because I was watching it it was a Christmas Eve, I was with Dave, and a team came back, they were down 35 points in the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
And the team with like this weird like hooks and lateral type play got what would have been the game tying touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of kicking the extra point and going to overtime,
They went for it.
They went for the 2 and they didn't get it and they lost. So they ended up only scoring 34 points, lost by 1. And I thought, to me, that remember watching that, I was like, just go to overtime. You're feeling it. Like, but they also don't have a long pause. And that's where I wonder if Chris Knobloch goes, they get an intermission break. Maybe that settles them down and they go back to playing like they did in the first 40.
Maybe.
And that's why let's finish it now. We've got Connor, we've got Lean. We're buzzing now. Why wait an extra 25 minutes to get back on the ice to win this? Let's do this now.
Yeah.
And then it's such a weird goal that went
Yep.
in, even with the turnovers, even with whatever. He found on the shot.
He found on the shot.
Like if he takes that shot, it's probably not going in the net.
Yeah.
If he gets if he properly hits that puck, it's probably not a goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Fogle jumping, it probably hits Fogle right in the back.
That's why Fogle jumped.
Yeah.
It was the full changeup.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just a weird goal.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Raider Jesse says, bad play from Bush there, but also Nurse should have 100% been in position. Nurse quit skating. No way he should have been beat to the reverse.
On which one? On the first goal?
I'm assuming.
Raider Jesse, is it the first goal?
Yeah, which goal are we talking about? Is it the winning goal or was it the first goal? Let us know.
Because if it was the first goal, then I don't disagree. Like, Nurse should have probably tried to get to the other side of the ice so that he could have kept it going.
Right.
But on that reverse, like, what do you want him to do? Even if he's skating, what do you want him to do?
Yeah, let us know, Raider Jesse, which goal in particular, just so we know.
I do got to throw this out there, just a different series. Landeskog, according to Pierre LeBrun, on the ice, looks like he will draw in for the Avs tonight.
Good for him. Like, honestly, that's
great story.
Good player. Great story. Hopefully his NHL career can continue. Those knee, you had knee issues at the end of your career, so that's tough. Raider, do you want to add to that, or Raider Jesse said first goal?
First goal, yeah. I mean, Could Darnell do more? Sure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't disagree with
On
that.
the first goal.
On the first goal, yeah. Where he reverses it to Darnell. And it kind of
The first one where he
Yeah.
made a mistake.
Yeah.
Not the first goal of the game.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Pat texting says, if Oilers win a regulation, that series is likely over. That would have been devastating. And I think that's fair what Pat is saying. I don't disagree with that whatsoever. I also think, too, that with the comeback, the way they did it, the goals that the Oilers did score, I feel like that still did damage to the Kings psychologically.
Yes, I agree.
I think if they win that hockey game, it doesn't matter regulation, overtime. It's the same result. You won that series. Like, I think you've destroyed that. I think
that I
I don't think it matters when you score that goal. If you win game one after that comeback,
It's hard.
you've destroyed the LA Kings mentally. I agree, though, too. That they put a damage in the armor.
Yeah.
I agree.
They found, like, on the fortified wall, they put a hole in there that they can possibly get into. Because now when the LA Kings, let's say they take a lead tonight, doesn't matter until the final buzzer goes.
You never know what's
They're going to
happening.
be thinking, oh my God, the Oilers, oh my God, they might come back. They might come back.
Here's a quick one. X-Ray J. The narrative on defensive breakdowns is excusism. Is it Stu's fault that Bouchard throws grenades? No. It's an unfortunate reality of hockey. It shouldn't excuse Stu from making a save on a shot.
Got to read this.
Thoughts on that?
Say again. I'm trying to respond
The
to
narrative on defensive breakdowns is excusism. Is it Stu's fault that Bouchard throws grenade? No. It is an unfortunate reality of hockey. It shouldn't excuse Stu for making a save on a shot. The flip side to that, though, is it's not hockey isn't baseball. It's not a very static sport.
It's not at all.
It's not even close.
Yeah.
So a mistake by one person could absolutely lead to a goal because you put it in a bad spot. Yeah, sometimes the goalie has no shot at it, or it's a very difficult shot.
Who scored that goal too, by the way?
Which goal are we talking about here now?
On the Bouchard reverse turnover.
Dano. Oh, wait. Dano was the direct pass out. Kempe.
Okay.
Forehand, backhand.
Okay, so we can play a game, and you can come to Silent Ice Center Mondays and Fridays, 12:15. You can go in net. We're going to turn over puck, and I'm going to go right in the middle of the slot. I haven't played hockey at a high level in 10 years, and I would bet you $1,000 I'll score. So then what's that? Like, my point is that it's an elite shooter.
Yes.
Kempe is a really good hockey player.
Yes.
And he's probably a first or second line guy on a lot of teams.
Yes.
So when you leave players at that level wide open in the slot, I'm having a tough time thinking of a goaltender who's going to make that save when it's a bang bang play like that.
Yeah, some mistakes.
Like it's bang bang. It's in the back of your net. Like I'm having a really tough time figuring out who's going to stop that.
Not all mistakes are equal.
No.
There are some mistakes that defensive players will make that the goalie could still stop.
Yeah.
That's a very true thing.
Yeah.
But there are also mistakes that the goalie doesn't have much of a shot on.
Yeah.
And I would think more so, a lot of people feel that with Skinner's game on Monday, a lot of the mistakes that the Oilers made, Skinner didn't have much of a shot on those. They weren't like just a turnover at the red line that the other team gained possession, went the other way. They suckled the puck a little bit, and then Skinner let one through his 5-hole or something.
Yeah. So if you look at all the goals that were scored, is there goals that you can legitimately say, okay, I want that one back?
Byfield.
Byfield.
I stand by that.
Okay.
I will. I didn't like that goal at all.
And that's fair.
Yeah. It's
So-
a cheeky play by Byfield. Very
Yep.
clever to scoop it and shoot
Yep.
it. I don't like it. I think if I was a Kings fan, I'd be like, man, that's a great play by Byfield. As a guy who covers the Oilers every day, I don't like that goal on Skinner. I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
So Easy E says, laugh out loud or laugh my blank off. We're not NHL goaltenders. Goaltenders literally have one job and it's not scoring goals. I'm not an NHL hockey player anymore.
Easy
So
E
it's the
does,
exact same thing.
yeah. Does LOL stand for lots of love?
It's
I'm
LMAO.
just kidding.
But
Yes.
But my point is that sure, an NHL player, line him up in the slot, let him shoot the puck. It's hard. Like if you have a guy standing right smack dab in the middle of the ice with a puck and he has as much time as he wants, and you allow the goaltender to go to the top of the circle, the top of the crease, and you say, let's go. It's actually, it's a game that we play after practice. It's called Juice Boy.
I like
Happens
Juice
all the
Boy.
time.
It's fun.
It's 50-50.
Yeah.
flip a coin. That's literally what it is. So in a situation where it's a game, it's a bang-bang play, I'm pretty sure it's not 50-50 anymore. And they play this game all the time. And the loser usually has to buy or like get juice for everybody.
I like that.
Yeah, the thing, like, every player makes mistakes in the game.
Yeah.
The problem for goalies is their mistake leads to a goal.
100%.
So
They're the last line of defense.
Every time it leads to a goal.
Yeah.
Whereas a defender makes a mistake and there's a chance that it's not going to lead to a goal. Forward makes a mistake, there's a chance it doesn't lead to a goal because there is that goalie there.
Yeah.
But they're not going to be, goalies can't, like, they have one job and it's literally, it's not scoring goals. Then that means every goalie's bad for letting in a single goal. Like, every goalie should have a shutout every game.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they've made mistakes.
Can I use rebuttal?
Yep.
Lots of love for ESD. No love for defending Skinner for allowing brutal goals. Touche, sir. Touche.
Well played. This text says, on the winning goal, Wallman could have easily shut the play down if he controlled the gap, pushed the puck carrier to the boards, or put him on the ice.
Which one is that?
The winning goal.
Say that again, sorry.
Okay, on the winning goal, Wallman could have easily shut the play down if he controlled the gap, pushed the puck carrier to the boards, or put him on the ice. So played him more physical and was better with his gap.
Sure. We could also say Bush could have not got out of the way. We could have said Bush could have decided to try to block the shot. We could have also said Draisaitl should probably back check. We could say there probably shouldn't have been a turnover. So there's lots of things that lead to that.
That would be a compounding error.
Yes.
Or compounding errors.
That's called
Cass.
5 mistakes that end up in the back of your net.
Yeah.
Portions of this hour of the EST Hangout, they are brought to you by the High Product Marketing, official merch partner of Edmonton Sports Stock. Promotional products that bring the buzz. Check them out, highproductmarketing.com. GCLT's Oilers Stream pregame show, 6:30 live from Hudson's Bourbon Street, West Edmonton Mall. Tommy, Hernan, Cass, they'll get you set for the game. Prior to that, it's the Reed Wilkins Show for 3.5 hours, extended Reed Wilkins Show. We got EST Afternoons, we got the Oil Stream, we got the Lock Shop, all still to come here on Edmonton Sports Talk as we've got you covered. Once again, live straight coverage from 7 o'clock until 8 o'clock, or 6 in the morning until 8, so 14 hours of coverage. And then, of course, there will be the Oil Stream post-game show as Tommy, Hernan, and Cass will break down the action. Whatever happens tonight, most people want an Oiler win. Majority of you want an Oiler win. Maybe we have an LA Kings fan somewhere that wants an LA Kings win.
There have been Kings fans. I believe Ken is one of them. We've identified him very quickly, his area code, and he just started texting in on Monday, but he's chimed in a couple of times. So, Ken, I know what you're up to, and thank you for listening to our station. We appreciate that very much. I'm going to be fired up. It's going to be an awesome time at Hudson's Bourbon Street, or Bourbon Street, as they have taken out all the vowels from Bourbon Street to Bourbon Street. Hernan will stop by, I think, to Hudson's. We will have Lieutenant Eric. That's a home game for him. I think Dusty said he's going to hop on and be by for a bit. And then when we're at Ice House, we'll have Reed on location. We'll have Dennis Bernstein, Jonathan Davis from NHL.com, SiriusXM, NHL.com radio will be joining us. If you stop by the Ice House, that'd be nice. Or even Hudson.
Yeah.
If you can.
Yeah.
I'll have an extra headset or two there.
Sounds good.
You don't have to. I'm putting pressure to you on the air, but...
I see that.
Yeah. We had a great time. The other thing, too, awesome time at BP Westgate. Great prizes, great turnout from the Nasties. Good vibe. It was in that third period, man. The juices were flowing. And then shout out to Kurt and Tony and the staff there. They're fantastic. Kylie and Jess were working. It's going to be awesome. We're going to have a lot of fun.
Be a little bit of a nervous start to that game, I think, for Oilers.
I think so, too.
Of course.
They'll need they get that quick goal, though, other fans will be feeling really good about themselves.
Can I just say something quickly?
Go for it.
I really like the conversation with the Skinner stuff with the Nasties, because it's actually a legit conversation.
It's not just
there's nobody
berating.
nobody just absolutely going banana boats.
Oh,
so I actually really like that.
What
nice
a-
work, Nasties.
a lovely turn of events.
Yeah, it's good. I like the healthy conversation on it.
Sure.
I can't stand just to. You're an idiot.
You
okay.
are stupid. I hate you. That's coming tonight when people have a few beverages.
Yeah, that is coming.
Yeah.
So
I fully anticipate and await that. I I couldn't even like when I looked at the nasty chat post game, it was just like like couldn't even keep up to it. And then I saw some stuff at the end where I'm like, all right, I've had enough. It's been a 16-hour day.
Yeah, you guys had a long day.
Yeah, today I'm going home for a quick.
You gotta get a little power.
Yeah, I'm
nap.
surprised you stuck around.
Yeah, I was dead yesterday. I had no juice. I think I saved up a half a decent 2 hours for Ron Lowe. And that was it. That was good night, Irene, all afternoon.
We do got Celtics, Magic, Heat, Cavs, Warriors, Rockets tonight in the NBA as well. Can the Rockets recover from a game 1 loss?
Sure.
Well, that's the big story. The Celtics should win. No problem there. Cavs should still beat the Heat. No problem there. It's Warriors took 1 in Houston already. They're feeling good. They're going back to San
I like
Fran
to
at
make
least
up the
up 1.
Warriors. I'm not gonna lie. They just Jimmy Butler gives them something they haven't had in recent years.
Jimmy Buckets is a playoff performer.
Unbelievable. And so he pulls pressure away from Steph Curry. So now when people now have, because he's going to start slashing more, going to get to the bucket more. And so now he's going to draw attention, which opens up Steph. I really like what they've got going on there. And I think they're going to be hard out.
Lakers play on Friday.
Cares.
There's no other game.
Cares.
I do.
Where's your allegiance?
Yeah.
I'll have a laptop and I'll have it on at the game, straight up.
Oh, yeah?
That or my phone. I will watch the Laker game during the Oilers playoff game.
You don't like the Oilers?
No.
You heard it here first.
I don't cover anyone. I cover. I don't have a team I cheer for in the NHL.
Yeah, that's fair.
I've said that. I'll stay with that.
You do
Lakers are
live
my
by
team.
that. I will give you that.
I am a we though when it comes to the LA Lakers.
Oh, what number are you? What number?
Ron said we a lot yesterday.
Well, he did coach and play for the Edmonton Oilers and is a big part of their alumni. I'll allow it.
I was actually having some conversation yesterday.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were saying we, and I was in my head, I was laughing because I'm like,
fans,
man,
Tommy would
I
not be
wish
happy.
Tommy was around because he'd be losing it.
But it's different for fans.
Yes.
I'm a fan of the LA Lakers. Why can't I say we?
Because you're supposed to be a professional broadcaster and you're dropping wee bombs.
I don't. Well, supposed to be professional is the key. We're supposed to is the first part of that. Yeah. Secondly, I don't cover the NBA. I'm not in the NBA market.
Okay, it's a changing landscape. Evidently, we're seeing all these American broadcasters and falling
the Lakers
into their fandom.
Whoa! You can't compare him saying "we" to Shannon Sharpe doing wildness.
Oh, that's way different. I love how you call it wildness.
It is wildness.
Well, I mean,
it's a slippery slope to that, maybe.
It's wild.
Apparently, that wildness was demanded or requested by his partner in wildness.
We'll just leave it at that.
We'll leave it at that.
That
a beautiful bookend to the show.
And then we got the NFL draft coming up too. A couple days.
It's in Green Bay?
Yeah.
When is it?
Thursday. First round's Thursday. Usually, I think 2 and 3 are Friday. 4 through 7 are Saturday now.
I wonder if the Dolphins will wake up and actually draft somebody good.
You got a 13th overall or something like that?
We need an O-line. We need to protect Tua.
Sounds like Cam Ward probably will go to Tennessee. Saunders might draw. He apparently, some people say he might have spoiled where he's going because he was on something in
Pittsburgh.
It might be Pittsburgh. But they're like 21.
Yeah,
I think that's one of those where you hear teams like the agents working the phones and see where you're going.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh saying, if you're there, we're picking you, and they've probably heard from other teams going, this guy, he's gonna slip.
Okay,
and you could also just look at the draft and be like, okay, if he gets past this point, who's going to touch him? So, okay, if let's say Tennessee takes Cam Ward, I got to go rounds here. Okay, Cleveland, if they pass, if the Giants pass, okay, Patriots, would they touch him? I'm not so sure. Just because of they've got. May. Yeah. Jacksonville, they've got Trevor Lawrence still. Mm-hmm. They probably don't want that circus. Oakland would be an interesting one for me.
That's just a really interesting one.
The Jets.
Oakland.
Vegas. Sorry.
Yeah. But they've been a quarterback carousel when was it Garoppolo didn't work out, and then who did they just have that they got rid of?
Carr.
That's where I could see a spot there potentially.
But I don't think Dion wants him to go there.
Yeah, it's not his choice fully.
To
to a degree. Jets at 7, Panthers at 8, Saints at 9. Okay, so that's the top 10. If Saunders gets through those 9, Bears aren't touching him.
No.
49ers probably aren't touching him. With the Cowboys,
No.
No,
you want to know something? You think?
I could see it.
Here's why I could see
I
it.
actually could see it now that we're actually going to
Because you have Jerry Jones going,
Yeah.
Dion.
Yeah.
Dion will be around us. Dion's
Give him
connected
1
to us
year.
back and stuff. This is a good thing to give to Dion. I could actually see that one.
Jerry Jones needs to step away.
Dolphins? No. Colts? No, probably not. Falcons? No. Cards?
No.
No. Bengals? No. Seahawks? No. Bucks? No. Broncos? No. Steelers at 21.
Interesting.
There's actually a few spots I could see him maybe going to. It would be something if he goes to.
He's going to Pittsburgh. And then he's going to.
I could see him going Dallas.
and
Actually, as
then-
we're saying that, I could see Jerry Jones being that
He
insane.
just signed
He is
Dak.
that insane.
There's talk of
You
trading
don't
him.
care about Dak.
Wow.
I
Good
wouldn't.
point.
I'll say
the
this.
insane and the talk of
I
trading.
wouldn't
Okay,
be crazy. Don't think it would be a shock to me if all of a sudden by the time we sit on the hangout on Monday, we're saying Dak's on the new team through the draft.
That's
weekend.
crazy.
Yeah.
And Dak's in Pittsburgh. Maybe. Like if they're ready to take Sanders, then why wouldn't they? If Cowboys are going to take him, I'd go get Dak. Dak's never going to win, though. I don't think he's a winning quarterback.
Dak is just a weird. He's just an enigma.
Dak's good and just good enough.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like Tony Romo.
Yeah.
He'll have good seasons.
Yeah.
He'll put up some good numbers.
Yep.
But you're never going all the way.
No.
I agree with that. Just to bring it back to hockey, this text out of the 604, that's Vancouver. When they tied the game and the big line was obviously gas, would a timeout have been considered by Nauber? I get that you want to ride the momentum and not let the Kings gather any composure, but if you intended to ride 97-29 to take the win, does a timeout make sense? Thanks, boys. I believe they took their timeout.
They did. Yeah.
At that point. They already had taken it.
And even if they didn't, there would be maybe the thought of like you're letting the LA Kings regroup.
Yeah.
And you don't want that. You want to have them on their back foot still, and you want to keep attacking them.
Yeah.
And once again, if it wasn't for Dano fanning on a shot, we're probably not discussing that. We're talking about overtime. He fanned on the shot.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he got so lucky on that.
Collingwood Rob says, Michael Wilbon, huge fan, by the way, is a major Cubs, Blackhawks, Bears, Bulls, and Northwestern fan. It's okay to have favorites as a journalist. Collingwood Rob, if you say it's okay, then I agree. Me too. I do like the Cardinals. I don't shy away from that.
I understand where it's going. I understand that teams can do it. I still will go with if I'm like, I will say I cheer for the Edmonton Oilers openly. I won't say we though ever for the Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah. I'm still a season seat holder.
I won't do it,
I'll
but
be
because we
season
cover those teams, we're more direct, and so as a media, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
But I'm nowhere near
31 days to the first game.
LA. Is that it?
I think the regular, or I don't know if that's regular season or
Preseason's
preseason.
May 30th.
Yeah.
Makes me so.
You're ready.
We need to get rid of this wind before I decide I'm going to show up to one of those games.
I hate the
You're
winds.
going to show up anyway.
I hate the
I'm
winds.
not going to show up with the wind.
I hate the winds.
It's brutal.
I just can't. It's just annoying.
It has
Why?
been
Since
windy.
when did it become so windy in this city?
Well, it's not windy. Ask Trev.
Yeah.
Okay, there's layers and levels
it's
to this.
Edmonton windy.
Yeah.
Edmonton windy.
Yeah.
It's one of those. I feel like we go through cycles. I remember a few years ago, I thought we were really windy all year. I don't remember it being that windy last year.
Either do I.
So I feel like we go.
Well, actually,
Clausen, he's still listening.
There was times it was
At
windy
times,
last year.
but I don't know. I feel like wind's always been there then to a degree.
It's a windy city.
We're Canada's windy
We're
city
like shy light.
for major cities.
Yep.
We're not at the same level as like some of the places down south. Is it
I mean,
Lethbridge?
Where he's
Is that the
from?
one where it is? Pincher?
Pincher
Pincher Creek, Turner Valley, Black Diamond, somewhere in there. I think he's Turner Valley.
He always
Pincher
says
Creek.
Pincher, though.
He's Pincher Creek?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's even worse.
That's
I
why
remember
he's
you were
like,
going through the pictures of Pincher Creek that
Yeah.
one and you're mocking it.
Yeah, it's bad. I've driven through there plenty of times.
We're almost done here on the EST Hangout, presented by Sentinel Storage. Lock Shop, Dusty and Huss coming up. We've got Oil Stream. We've got EST Afternoons. We've got the Reed Wilkins Show extended by another 30 minutes today. So a little extra Reed and Jay with you. Then you got the GCLT's Oil Stream pregame show at 6:30. Oilers Kings coming up later tonight, 8 o'clock. Chris Knobloch and the team, while the Oilers are on the ice at noon. And then the team will speak after that. So keep it locked on the Oil Stream and EST Afternoons for everything that does come. Immediately, we will pass it along your way as soon as we find the information. Belsey, good to see you again.
It's always a pleasure.
Tom,
Hi.
have a great shows today.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it.
Thanks to everyone for tuning into the EST Hangout presented by Sentinel Storage and your clear choice for Edmonton Sports. On behalf of Belsey, Tommy, I'm Matt. Again, thanks for tuning in. Lock Shop coming up in just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere.
Let's go. There you go, right in front of the camera.
First-time guest, long-time listener, fan of the original draft commissioner.
Welcome to the EST Hangout presented by White Claw Hard Seltzer. The difference is clear. Matt Iwanyk, Tom Gazzola with here. Joining us today,